to UW Parkside and Kenosha, Wisconsin, where, as you can see, we have a bit of a wintry mix on the course this morning, but that's okay. We're ready to rock and roll for a championship race. On the women's side, it is wide open this season with the top 6 finishers from 2018 all graduating, which leaves the door open for some fresh faces. The top individual returner is Villanova's Lydia Oliver, who will lead the Hoyas to potentially a three-peat on the women's team side. But they will be pushed this year by a couple of top 30 programs in Butler and Georgetown. For the Hoyas, it's Madeline Perez, who has led them all season long. For the Dogs, a couple of upperclassmen. Championship veteran Josephine Thestrup and Emily Royston will try to help the Dogs to a Big East championship on the women's side. And on the men's side, we could witness history this morning here at UW Parkside with the Georgetown Hoyas going for a Big East record 5th straight team title. The Hoyas return a plethora of veterans, including Jack Van Scoter and Nick Wareham. And if those names sound familiar, it's because they've dominated in championship events over the years. Wareham finished second at last year's Big East Cross Country Championships. But the Hoyas will be tested by Villanova and Butler. The Wildcats return 2018 individual champion Casey Comer, who is a 9-time Big East champion across the track and cross-country courses. He's also a 4-time All-American. He's eyeing another individual championship. And for the Bulldogs, who finished 3rd in last year's team standings, they are healthy this year, and they return Ewan Makepeace, who eyes a chance at his first individual title. Lots of storylines to get to throughout the day. One of the big ones, though, is this beautiful weather we have. Winter has fallen here in northern Wisconsin, and for more about how that might affect the conditions, we send it over to Piper Shaw.
Thanks, Matt. Winter came early here in Wisconsin for our Big East Cross Country Championships, and the runners hopefully are prepared for these conditions. In the best spots on this course, there are 3 to 4 inches of fluffy white snow, and in the worst, there's 3 to 4 inches of dark, muddy puddles. But it'll be interesting to see how the runners' spikes can fare in this kind of terrain. Hopefully they're up for it, up these slushy hills and back down. There's not too much slipping and sliding. I'm sure most of our runners aren't used to these kinds of conditions that we're seeing here in Kenosha. Back to you, Matt.
Thank you very much, Piper. We will have the benefit of Piper course side as you look at the water kicking up from the four-wheeler. It is a muddy, wet, puddly start, but these runners are getting ready to rock and roll, gearing up for the men's championship. And when you look at this field, obviously, as we talked about in the Open, Georgetown, how can you bet against the Hoyas? They have won 4 consecutive titles. They are going for a Big East record 5th consecutive title. The question is, who can challenge? And last year we saw the Butler Bulldogs as a team that really, had they been healthy, could have really vied for a spot in the top 2. They ended up finishing 3rd. Ewan Makepeace dealing with an injury. He is back healthy, and he expects to be a top contender for the individual championship. But, of course, you cannot count out the Wildcats of Villanova with Casey Comer and Andrew Marston. Those two have just been spectacular over the years in Philadelphia. The men's race getting set to kick off here in the next minute or so. Look at the track. It is 40 and cloudy, so it has warmed up considerably since we were first on the course earlier this morning. It was in the 30s, and I'll tell you, that start line is looking much clearer now than it was even an hour ago. And we are underway from Kenosha, Wisconsin. We've got our man Mitch in the lead car, if you will. It's a four-wheeler, and it is open air. So we really appreciate our crew, our entire crew from Rush Media, and, of course, Piper, who I believe may just be in the lead cart with Mitch. Braving the elements here this morning. Clear skies and a muddy track. Look at the puddles that these guys are having to go through here to start things off. You know, this is a conference that in recent years, especially since realignment, has really been dominated by just a handful of teams. When you talk about the team title, of course, Georgetown has won the last 4. Before that, Villanova had won back-to-back. So since conference realignment, just 2 teams on the men's side have actually won the team title, Georgetown and Villanova. Butler have never won the Big East Cross Country Championship, but they feel really confident about the group that they've brought to Kenosha, Wisconsin here this morning. As the group comes up the first hill of our 8K course at UW Parkside. Last year, Georgetown really ran away with it. A score of 32. The next closest team was Villanova, and they were 13 points off at 45. Butler contended for the team title back in 2017, finishing second to Georgetown. And I believe we have Ewan Makepeace of Butler leading the pack right now by a couple of strides. Makepeace is somebody who, for Butler, as he has gotten healthier and stronger since coming over to the States under head coach Matt Rowe, has developed into one of the elite runners in this conference. Let's take a look at the course map, give you an idea of what these runners will be encountering as they go through the course here at the National Cross Country Course in Kenosha, Wisconsin, which has hosted a ton of high-level premier races. Much of it will be through the woods. Of course, you've got a couple of big-time uphill climbs, the first of which we just saw. Then it levels out a little bit. What these men are getting ready to go through is another uphill climb. A significant number of downhill portions to this course, and one of them goes down into almost a creek bed, which a week ago we were told was nearly up to 3 feet. There were some fish swimming around. Some of the athletes that they had out here actually brought fishing poles as a joke. But today, of course, we're excited that the course is as clear as it can be with the weather that they've had here over the last couple of weeks. So much history in this great conference, especially on the distance side, and we are delighted to be joined by Katarina Rocha, who is standing by with Piper Shaw.
Kat Rocha is here with me. Kat, now you won your title here at this course in Kenosha. Conditions were a little bit different, though. How did they compare?
Definitely there was no snow on the ground. It was a bit colder, but the conditions were pretty fair on the ground. It wasn't muddy. It was just cold, but these conditions are definitely tougher than when I was here a couple years ago.
How do you prepare to run in conditions like these?
I think it's more mental than physical. You know, everyone's running in these conditions, so like no one has an advantage. So it's going to be hard for everyone. So you just kind of mentally be like, it's going to be tough, but I'm going to do it.
What do you remember about running this course?
Definitely the first uphill. It's like a 1,200 meter straight uphill. And then after that, I kind of enjoyed it because it was kind of backwoods downhill. It's definitely a tough course, but if you stay focused, you can get it done.
Now, your brother, Marcelo, is running here today. What was your advice, your message to him?
You know, that everyone's going to be struggling out there today, especially with this weather. So don't even think about that. Like, just go out there and be confident in yourself and run tough because that's what's going to win a race today.
What's it like to get to share this experience with him?
It's pretty cool. I mean, my dad won Big East as well, so it's kind of cool that he did and then I did. And just to like kind of encourage them, like one day that might be you. So like go out there and just enjoy this experience today. You're only a junior, and just have fun.
What would be kind of your advice to anybody who is looking to run in conditions like this?
Don't hold back and don't have any fear. Like I said, like everyone's running in this condition. Just try not to think about it and just run your own race.
Now, Abby Wheeler is hoping to maybe be following in your footsteps. What do you make of that?
That would be awesome. I mean, me and Abby were training partners for my 5th year, so like just seeing her going out there and hopefully winning. And we have another girl, Maria, who's actually really talented right now as well. So either one of them, if they go out there and just run their best, like we could have some Big East champs coming back to Providence.
And Kat, what are you up to these days? What do you do now?
I actually help Ray, Steph, and Tim. I'm coaching a little bit, and I run professionally for Ocean State Athletic Club in Rhode Island.
So what are your hopeful predictions here?
Hopefully the Friars to get a win, both team and individual for men and women.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you, Kat. Back over to you, Matt.
Thanks so much, Piper. Of course,
Ro-
Katarina Rocha, one of the great runners in Big East history. As we just looped through the first portion of this course, and the dogs coming through one of those downhill portions that Katarina talked about. It is Butler 1 and 2 right now. Still plenty of time to go in this race, and a number of Providence Friars have grouped up behind them. But Ewan Makepeace continues to lead the pack. He is somebody that we've talked about finishing 26th at pre-nationals just a couple of weeks ago in Indiana, just up the road from Butler University, feeling really confident coming into this championship. But as Kat talked about, you know, the mental side of cross country is perhaps the part that goes most untalked about from a fan perspective. Everybody is running through the muck, through the grime, through the grit. Who can mentally flip that switch and get into a championship mentality? Interesting to note, too, that a lot of these runners, especially out on the East Coast, aren't typically accustomed to running in these backwoods courses. As Katarina talked about, that's one nice thing about running here in Kenosha. A little bit of a change of pace and a change of scenery, which is always nice. Great crowd on hand today as well here in northern Wisconsin. A chilly morning, 40 degrees and overcast skies, but the snow has turned to slush, and the course is soft. So we won't be, I would guess, seeing any blistering times here today. It's all about getting that individual and then team title. When you look at some of the other teams that could potentially contend for the team title this season, of course, we talked about Georgetown and the fact that they are going for their 5th straight team title. It's hard to argue with that type of dynasty that they have built in Washington, D.C., but Villanova has brought a very strong contingent with them. Andrew Marston, Casey Comer, who was the champion last year, and a 9-time Big East champion across indoor, outdoor, track, and of course cross country, brings with him a treasure chest of All-American honorees. As far as the Hoyas go, though, Nick Wareham, somebody who should sound pretty familiar to you. He was the runner-up last season to Casey Comer, and those two have had some great battles on the track as well in recent years, indoor and outdoor track and field, especially over the longer distances in the mile. Casey Comer and Nick Wareham have had some great battles. And then as well, Jack Van Scoter, Spencer Brown, those two were huge for Georgetown at the 2019 Big East Outdoor Track and Field Championships in New York City just last May. Those two have come along as well. And Van Scoter was actually the top finisher for the Hoyas at the Nuttycombe, Wisconsin Invitational just a couple of weeks ago. And Brown himself has a second place finish this year at Penn State. So very capable trio arriving with the Hoyas this year. But again, it is still Makepeace 10.5 minutes through this race, leading the pack comfortably right now for Butler. As these runners come through the back portion, we will step aside for just a break and be back in moments from Kenosha, Wisconsin. Ewan Makepeace of Butler still leading. Checking behind him to make sure he's got that comfortable lead. We'll be right back. Kevin.
We aren't just dreamers. We're doers.
My time. None of you people can tell me to stop.
Good things happen when you unleash a Butler Bulldog.
My time. None of you people can tell me to stop.
What is a Villanovan? In 30 seconds? Well, Villanovans aim high. Top 50 National University high. We think fast and stay connected. V's up. Villanovans think deeply, push boundaries, and go. Still with me? We climb corporate ladders and these ladders. This campus is our home, but you can find us almost anywhere. Villanovans have big hearts and solve even bigger problems, and we celebrate together. Ignite change, go Nova.
Ewan Makepeace still leading as he is now opening up on the rest of the field. Makepeace with a trio of Providence Friars and a couple of Villanova Wildcats behind him. But Makepeace came into the day determined to come away with his first Big East individual championship. He's still got a ways to go, but he's looking very strong now as he's dropped the field back another couple of paces. Of course, you have to think Andrew Marston, Nick Wareham, Casey Comer, guys who have been in this race in the lead pack in years past, have won a plethora of Big East titles. You can never count those guys out. And so Makepeace, of course, will know as Butler coaches line up along the side of this course. He will know just how much of a lead he has here as they come into the final stretch of this men's 8,000-kilometer race. Rather, 8-kilometer race. 8,000 kilometers might be a little far. There is Butler head coach Matt Rowe, and you know he was giving some words of encouragement to Ewan Makepeace. Makepeace, the senior, has been so strong for this Butler team, especially in years past. Makepeace finished up as a very strong spring last year, finishing 15th at the East Regionals in the 5K. but behind him, he's got All-Americans, conference champions nipping at his tail as they come through the finishing area here, and we'll do one more loop around. There's that big 1,200-meter hill that Catarina Rocha was talking about. And that is one hill that she does not miss running as a collegiate student athlete, although Catarina is still very much involved in the professional ranks out on the East Coast. As the gap begins to widen now for Butler's Ewan Makepeace. This is one of those courses in years past that has hosted some of the most elite and premier runners in the country, including the United States Championships a couple of winters ago. It's a course that has been treaded upon by the world's best, and Ewan Makepeace making it look easy right now for the dogs. An easy 20-meter lead on the rest of the pack for the Butler senior. Makepeace turning the corner. Butler men as a team, the closest they've come to a championship finish was 2 years ago in 2017 as a group, finishing second overall. Makepeace, of course, was part of that group. And they also finished third last year. And that was a bit of a disappointment for the dogs because they felt like if they had come in healthy, they could have really contended for a team title. Now, of course, all we can see right now from the lead vehicle is Ewan Makepeace, but behind him, you've got to remember that we've got a team title being battled for, and Georgetown going for a Big East record 5th consecutive team title.
Where are we now? 4 miles? A little past 4 miles?
Marquette also, who is hosting this championship just up the road from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Finished 4th last year, and they returned senior Daniel Peterson, who finished 9th in the individual standings at the championship and finished 8th the year before that, and he actually came away with a first place finish this season at the Loyola Lakefront Invitational. Just a bit different than running in the backwoods here in northern Wisconsin as Makepeace picks up speed coming down one of the back hills of this course at UW Parkside. Not another runner in sight, and he has really kicked it up a notch, running away with this individual title. And of course, we knew coming into this race that Makepeace had a chance to stand atop the podium as #1 in the conference after the performances that he has put together in recent years. But you look at his finishes over time in this meet in particular, and Makepeace as an individual, this would be his obviously highest finish, but by a number of places. Finished 5th last year at Northview Church in Indianapolis. Butler hosting the championships a year ago. Was 26th at Pre-Nats this season. Finished 3rd at the Outdoor Championships in 2016. Butler as a team finished in third place, just 8 points behind Villanova last season for second. Meanwhile, Providence, who we saw earlier in this race, having a number of runners within eyes shot of Ewan Makepeace. They were just edged out in a tiebreaker for fourth last year with Marquette. And Katarina Roach's brother, Marcelo, who she referenced in her interview with Piper Shaw earlier, he has won a meet this year, the UNH Tri-Meet earlier in the fall. And the Friars also bring with them Nick Braz, David Rosas, and Michael O'Leary. But the only runner in sight right now is Ewan Makepeace. And now you can start to hear the crowd cheer from the finish line. There is Casey Comer of Villanova in the mix. Makepeace making his way up one of the final uphill stretches on this 8-kilometer course in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Sun shining on Ewan Makepeace as he tries to close the door on the rest of the field and finish what has nearly been a wire-to-wire race for the Butler senior. The lead that he has put on the rest of the pack is quite impressive, and now it's a matter of just finishing. Leveling out here, making sure that he doesn't take any slips or falls on a course that has been muddied by about a half a foot of snow over the last week here in Kenosha, Wisconsin, but 40 and clear skies. Some scattered clouds in the area. But a true championship effort here from Ewan Makepeace as he takes a look over his right shoulder and sees no man behind him. Ewan Makepeace of the Butler Bulldogs leading the rest of the pack. He will certainly come away as the individual champion, barring anything unforeseen. The question that remains behind him, a bit of a mystery. Who will contend for the team title? That remains to be seen here in Kenosha, Wisconsin, as the sun begins to peek out from behind the clouds. Butler's Matt Rowe, the head coach for the Butler Bulldogs, hoping that he can come away with a team and individual title this afternoon. The crowd filing now. Ewan Makepeace, your 2019 Big East individual cross-country champion. An absolutely spectacular and brilliant run. Last year, we were neck and neck down the finish. and no runner within 100 meters of UN Makepeace this season. Truly a remarkable run now as we see a couple of Villanova Wildcats coming into the fold. Might they contend for a team title? Nova will come in second place, third place. That's Andrew Marston finishing a couple of Georgetown Hoyas. There is Casey Comer. Butler battling now with another Villanova athlete, and I would guess Villanova, just by the naked eye, may have a leg up on the rest of the field in terms of winning a team title. So far, we've only seen runners from Nova, Georgetown, and Butler. And it's typically positions 15 through 20 that really turn the tables in terms of a team title. Now Georgetown coming through with 3 athletes. So yes, it will be Villanova and Georgetown, I believe, contending for the team title, but Butler's UN Makepeace, your 2019 individual champion. Look at the grit and determination of these young lads coming through the finish. You really have to respect these guys. 27-minute race, up hills, down hills, through puddles and rivers, slushing through a soft, snow-wettened course. And here they are sprinting to the finish 8 kilometers later as Butler starts to rack up a couple of finishes here in the middle of the pack. We will step aside for just a moment and come back with the final tally and an interview with our individual champion and perhaps a better idea of who will come away with the team title when we come back from Kenosha, Wisconsin.
We aren't just dreamers. We're doers.
My time. None of you people can tell me to stop.
Good things happen when you unleash a Butler Bulldog.
My time. None of you people can tell me to stop.
What is a Villanovan? In 30 seconds? Well, Villanovans aim high. Top 50 National University high. We think fast and stay connected. V's up. Villanovans think deeply, push boundaries, and go. Still with me? We climb corporate ladders and these ladders. This campus is our home, but you can find us almost anywhere. Villanovans have big hearts and solve even bigger problems, and we celebrate together. Ignite change, go Nova.
We aren't just dreamers. We're doers.
My time. None of you people can tell me to stop.
Good things happen when you unleash a Butler Bulldog.
My time. None of you people can tell me to stop.
What is a Villanovan? In 30 seconds? Well, Villanovans aim high. Top 50 National University high. We think fast and stay connected. V's up. Villanovans think deeply, push boundaries, and go. Still with me? We climb corporate ladders and these ladders. This campus is our home, but you can find us almost anywhere. Villanovans have big hearts and solve even bigger problems, and we celebrate together. Ignite change, go Nova.
Well, the men's race has concluded. There is Ewan Makepeace walking across the finish. Just an amazing run from the Butler senior, who was the champion by a long shot, wearing that 104 bib, flashing the Butler across his singlet, and he is now walking with Art Piper Shaw towards one of the finish line cameras, where we will have an interview waiting for you with the champion when we come back from Kenosha, Wisconsin. Don't go anywhere.
We aren't just dreamers. We're doers.
My time. None of you people can tell me to stop.
Good things happen when you unleash a Butler Bulldog.
My time. None of you people can tell me to stop.
What is a Villanovan? In 30 seconds? Well, Villanovans aim high. Top 50 National University high. We think fast and stay connected. V's up. Villanovans think deeply, push boundaries, and go. Still with me? We climb corporate ladders and these ladders. This campus is our home, but you can find us almost anywhere. Villanovans have big hearts and solve even bigger problems, and we celebrate together. Ignite change, go Nova.
Welcome back to our Big East Cross Country Championships. I'm standing here with our men's race winner, Ewan Makepeace, a conference champion title for you. What does it feel like?
It's pretty special. I raced here 3 years ago and didn't really go to plan, so to come back and to take the win it's big. I've been out here for 5 years and never managed to clinch this title, so to do it in my last year, it's really big. I'm really happy.
What does it mean to the team?
It's huge. I mean, we've had a pretty rough season. Just been trying to iron out the flaws. So, to come here and get that, definitely lift the spirits. And then just to get a good team performance overall, solid. I think everyone came away from that. We had a lot of smiles. So, yeah, we were pleased.
Now, the conditions today here, definitely less than ideal. How did you prepare for this?
I mean, this is what I thrive in. This is what I'm used to running in back home in England. So, I've been waiting for 5 years for something like this. So, yeah, to come out here today, have the mud, the wet, it brings back a lot of memories from when I was younger running and, slipping and sliding. So, walking around team camp this morning, I was excited to get out there and see how the race went. So, couldn't have gone any better, really.
All right, well, you seem like you're in great spirits, ready to go relax with your team.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
All right, thank you so much. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, Matt, over to you.
Thank you, Piper. Love that interview with you and Makepeace, saying that this is what he has been waiting for the last 5 years since coming over from England. This is what he's used to running in the countryside of the United Kingdom. An absolutely fantastic run from Butler Sr. Many congratulations to him. He's always been in the running, but never quite there atop the podium. And finally, in his last year in a Butler uniform, clinches the individual title. For those of you watching who are still waiting for the team tally, we are getting those final numbers put together, and we'll be reporting back to you hopefully soon with a team title champion. But for now, we will step aside. You are watching the 2019 Big East Cross Country Championships, the women's race coming up just around the corner. It is. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back out to beautiful Kenosha, Wisconsin, where these ladies are getting set to take off in our 2019 Big East Women's Cross Country Championship presented by Jeep. Matt Schumacher, Piper Shaw with you and our entire Rush Media crew. And I'll tell you what, we weren't sure what kind of conditions we were going to have coming into the day, given all the weather that we've seen here over the last week or so. They got 6 inches of snow on Thursday night. Yesterday it was sloppy, slushy, and snowy. Well, that has all since melted, and now we are left with a gooey course around this loop for the women here. And, of course, they are running just about the same course that the men ran just moments ago. So the men have gotten it nice and warmed up for these ladies who will be running 6,000 meters. It's the women's 6K, and we are underway from Kenosha, Wisconsin. Delighted to be bringing you this championship coverage on a beautiful Saturday where winter has fallen just a tad, but the sun is peeking out, making it feel a bit more like fall for the start of this women's race. Just 10 minutes before noon local time. A great crowd on hand here as you're seeing the women get prepared for this first climb of the day. It's about a 1,200 meter uphill climb, and right smack dab in the middle of it, you've got about a 3 or 4 foot gap filled with mud and slush. Perfect way to get the 2019 women's cross country race started. Our lead vehicle, which has our cameraman Mitch representing Rush Media. There is that first puddle that they all have to trek through. But our lead vehicle providing all the sights and sounds of the afternoon here. 6,000 meters is this race. And like the men's competition, we have seen a bit of a dynasty build up with one of these programs, and that is the Villanova Wildcats, who are going for a three-peat here today in the team title. But something to note for Villanova, unlike in years past when they've been so loaded with veterans, they're a bit younger this year, graduating a handful of veteran runners who were no stranger to this championship, including Carolina Alcorda, who was the champion last year, Rachel MacArthur, who has since transferred to the University of Colorado, who finished second a year ago, and a handful of others, Bella Berta, Sammy Bakoven, Kaylee Kalufo, Nicole Hutchinson, all no longer part of the program, graduating and moving on from Villanova, which leaves the door really wide open in terms of the team standings. Some of the other teams who feel like they could really contend for a title this season, Georgetown, of course, one of those, and why not? The Hoyas have always been a real contender here. Last time they won a team title, though, was back in 2014. Providence, always a strong contender at these outdoor cross-country championships, and, of course, we had a chance to catch up with Katarina Rocha, the former Friar champion, whose family has created a bit of a legacy at these outdoor championships. Her father also won a title at Big East Outdoor Cross Country years ago. Providence, though, led by Abby Wheeler, the senior, and Maria Coffin, who did not race at Big East Outdoor Track and Field last year, but finished 24th at these championships a year ago in Indianapolis. Could she vie for an individual championship here this afternoon? Providence, Georgetown, Villanova, all in that lead group, but the pack remains bunched up. This was about the time in the men's race that Ewan Makepeace really started to assert himself at the front and put some distance between he and the rest of the field. We'll see if that happens in the women's race. In years past, it really has been close in terms of the individual race for a title. Last year in Indianapolis really came down to the wire on both the men's and the women's side. Caroline Alcorta, of course, the grad transfer from the University of North Carolina who spent her final year of eligibility at Villanova, was the champion. But our top 6 finishers from a year ago on the individual side have all since graduated. The top returnee, that is Lydia Oliver, who finished 7th last year for the Wildcats of Villanova. So this individual title and team title, both wide open, maybe more than any other previous year in this conference. Since 2008, though, only Providence, Georgetown, and Villanova have seen their name on the trophy for a team title. The last team to win it, aside from those 3, was West Virginia in 2007. And of course, with the newly aligned Big East, West Virginia can no longer win that sucker. So somebody else, perhaps, will they disrupt what has been a 3-horse race for many, many years, nearly a decade in this conference. Last year, Nova ran away with it with 21 points. Xavier up there in the mix right now. They are without Jenna Clayworth, who was all Big East last year. She's out with an injury, so unable to compete. But Anna Costarellas has been the team leader this year for the Xavier Musketeers, and she finds herself in the lead pack with a couple of Hoyas, Wildcats, and Friars. And in talking with some folks around the Xavier Musketeer program, they feel good about Costarellas this year as a potential top 3 finisher. It would be a bit of a surprise to some of the rest of the conference, but the way she's been training and with some of the races that she's run here in 2019, she could potentially be a dark horse in the individual race. She did run well at the Louisville Classic earlier this fall, setting a school record in the 5K over the cross-country course down there in Kentucky. But she finished well out of the running of last year's Big East Championship, 18th overall. So a top 5 finish this year would be quite a jump for her. Now an upperclassman, has years of training under her belt. She will be contested, though, by Providence's Abby Wheeler and Maria Coffin, who we mentioned. Butler's Josephine Thestrup is also in the mix, as is Emily Royston. And those two, especially Josephine Thestrup, no strangers to the championship here at Big East Cross Country. We will step aside for a moment as these ladies traverse through the back end of our heavily wooded championship course here in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Many players still in the mix, a little less than halfway through our 2019 Big East Women's Cross Country Championship. Costarellis of Xavier still leading the pack, but a couple of Wildcats hot on her tail on a beautiful afternoon here in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Glad to have you with us, Matt Schumacher, Piper Shaw, and our entire Rush Media crew on a muddy, slushy, wet day here in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Perfect cross-country championship conditions. As we heard from our men's individual champion just about 15 minutes ago, Ewan Makepeace of Butler. The men's team results are in, and someone has dethroned the past champion in Georgetown. Villanova winning narrowly 36-42 in the team standings, taking down Georgetown and disrupting that streak of 4 consecutive Big East team titles for the Hoyas. So Villanova, the new king on the block on the men's team side. Georgetown finishing in second, and Butler for a second consecutive season finishing in third to round out our podium of 3 on the men's team side. Villanova right now going for a three-peat, and they have 3 runners right in the mix in the top 4, which would be huge for team points, of course. The Wildcats having won back-to-back titles, and there were some questions heading into this Big East championship here in 2019 with all of the runners that they lost due to graduation. Of course, the transfer of Rachel MacArthur to Colorado. What would we see from the Wildcats this year? But Gina Procaccio never has to rebuild. It's always a reload, next woman up type of program. So deep in Philadelphia, and the training groups there are second to none when you compare them to some of the other distance powerhouses across the country. Can't ask for better training partners on a daily basis than the ones that Gina Procaccio has brought to Villanova. But how about Anna Costarellis of Xavier University? This is a bit of a surprise. Was not the favorite on paper anyway coming into the day, and still has work to be done. But she has started to put some distance between her and the rest of the field, similar to what Ewan Makepeace did on the men's side just 20 minutes ago. Anna Costarellis finished 18th in Indianapolis at the 2018 Big East Cross Country Champs. The junior from Churchville, New York, trying to make some noise on this muddy course here in Kenosha, Wisconsin. It has become a 2-woman race. Costarellis of Xavier maintaining that first place position. We are trying to get a bib number for the Villanova athlete behind her, but right now, a real battle brewing in the women's individual championship race right now. Nova, bit of a mystery as to what lies behind this bend here in terms of team positioning, but at last glance, the Wildcats were in a good spot to potentially three-peat on the team side, with 3 of the top 4 spots occupied by Wildcats. Fans lining up near the finish, awaiting what has become a really close race on the women's side. Villanova, of course, did come in with some youth, but also a couple of seniors in McKenna Keegan and Ann Campbell. And Amari Anke Shabazz, who has been so good at outdoor track and field over the years for this Wildcats program, that lost a lot of firepower from a year ago, but showing no weakness in this 2019 championship. As we're seeing a two-horse race get even tighter through the backwoods here in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Lydia Oliver, also for Villanova, came in as perhaps the favorite for these Wildcats, having finished 7th at last year's Big East Cross Country Championships in Indianapolis, and is the top returner in this field here in Kenosha, Wisconsin. And it is Villanova who have overtaken Xavier for first place positioning as the tail end of this race comes to the forefront. So it's Villanova 1, Xavier 2, and we're speculating as to positions 3, 4, and 5, but when we last had them in the picture, Villanova did occupy 3 of the top 4 spots, with Xavier being the other one. Anna Costarellis has dropped back just a tad here as they're making their way up one of the backside hills here in Kenosha, Wisconsin, on this elite cross-country course that has hosted many premier events in recent years. Fans starting to line the sides. This is the final stretch of the women's 2019 cross-country championships, and Villanova is going to come away with a team title potentially, but surely the individual champion now. Lydia Oliver running away with it for the Wildcats. She finished 7th a year ago, and this year takes home the championship. Lydia Oliver, your 2019 Big East champion. Anna Costarellis coming in behind her for the Xavier Musketeers, and now a battle for the team championship. This is where it is won or lost here. Villanova coming in third. So they've occupied the first and third place positions. Now Providence will bring in a few. Butler comes in a top 5 finish. Couple of Bulldogs here coming through with top 10 finishes. That's the second Providence athlete. Now Nova has a couple in. This is going to be a really tight race on the team side as far as the women are concerned. Villanova dethroning Georgetown on the men's side earlier by just 8 points. This could be even closer on the women's side. Love this finish down the stretch. This is the middle of the pack. Big points to be picked up here. Anka Shabazz for Villanova coming in and finishing strong for the Wildcats. Big finish here in the middle of the pack for Marquette with 4 athletes coming through. It really will be quite interesting to see how this team standings shake out here as the final finishers on the women's side come through. Great crowd as usual on here in Kenosha, Wisconsin. But the individual champion is Lydia Oliver, the sophomore from Villanova, finishing 6 places higher this season than she did last year. She was the top returner coming into the 2019 title match. And she sat and kicked beautifully down the stretch. We will step aside for just a moment and come back with post-race reaction and interviews from the finish line after this.
We aren't just dreamers. We're doers.
My time. None of you people can tell me to stop.
Good things happen when you unleash a Butler Bulldog.
My time. None of you people can tell me to stop.
So our 2019 Big East Men's and Women's Cross Country Championships wrapping up from Kenosha, Wisconsin. What a finish to the men's team title with Villanova dethroning four-time champion Georgetown. They had previously won 4 straight titles. They were going for a record 5th. Villanova edging them out by fewer than 10 points. An incredible race on the men's side, which was won individually by Ewan Makepeace. And then on the women's side, what a race it was from Anna Costarellis, who led much of the way, was overtaken by Lydia Oliver of Villanova, maintaining a reign of dominance for the Wildcats, who are trying to win their 3rd straight team title, but have won another individual race. And the Wildcats, so dominant under Gina Procaccio. They have won not just back-to-back team titles, but in the last decade, they have won 6 championships in the Big East Conference. And now we have Piper Shaw standing by with Lydia Oliver, your 2019 Big East champion.
All right, we've got our conference champion here for the women. We have Lydia Oliver. Now, you are just a sophomore. What is this moment like for you right now?
Oh, very surreal. I was not expecting this coming in. I mean, it was in the back of my mind, but, you know, just off of last year, I was top 10. So this year my goal was, you know, hopefully maybe a top 5 individual. And then obviously the main goal for myself and my whole team was a team win. So we're not sure what that result is yet. But so I think coming in, I just was kind of thinking of the team goal, and I was like, you know, as low of the score as I can get, that's going to help. So, yeah, it went really well, a lot better than I was expecting.
What would a win for the team mean for this team?
Oh, it would be great. This was our first race to running our full squad, so, you know, capping that off with a team win, having ourselves finally all together would be just great, especially heading into the regionals and, you know, hopefully nationals.
Now, the conditions today, obviously, a little bit less than ideal, probably not what you're used to. How did you prepare for this?
I mean, we're a tough team. We got grit, and, you know, we just like to perform on the day, and, you know, we knew these conditions were going to be like, but you're like, no, we can't control it, and we're just going to run the best we can given the elements. So it's just about taking the elements and remaining calm with what's given to us. You know, last year regionals was very similar to this. At Penn State, it was raining, muddy, just horrible. And, you know, we were able to perform. So we had some experience, which was great. But, yeah, you know, we prepared as best we could, stayed warm, and just came out here and went for it.
You know, you must be a little bit cold. Are you still feeling warm from this?
A little. It'll probably hit me as soon as I start to go walk over. But, you know, we have all of our gear over in our tent, so I'll be able to layer up as soon as I can.
All right, what is the best thing about running? What's your favorite thing?
My goodness. I think the people you meet. I mean, the running community, the camaraderie of NCAA, everything is just amazing. And the girls that I've been able to meet and just my whole team is so much more than I could ever imagined. And running for me has always been such a group team effort, and so I think that's what's been the best part of it. And, you know, when you do well and you do well together, it's just, you can't beat that feeling.
Now, despite the conditions out here, what went really well for you today on your run?
I just was really happy with how calm I felt in the beginning, and I think it really helped me for the second half of the race. I mean, I've had enough now 6Ks under my belt where I just know, you know, the common theme of each race is, you know, second half, the last 2K is really where the race is. And so just staying as calm as I could until that point was really important. And today I think I really felt that, which is, you know, the first time I've kind of felt that this season. So I think sharpening as where I'm supposed to, you know, as we're heading into championship season. So I think just the strength that I felt today was really awesome.
Now, what's next for you? How do you go up from here?
Yeah, so now we head on to regionals, which will be at Lehigh University, which is a great course. So, yeah, so we're just going to keep training. Now we have a 2-week block, and then we'll be at it again.
All right, Lydia, thank you so much. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, Matt, over to you.
Baltimore, who, as she mentioned in her interview, was hoping for a top 5 finish this year. She finished 7th last year. A team title, of course, was the main goal. An individual title, well, that was in the back of her mind, but maybe not at the forefront. She comes through and wins a individual championship for the Wildcats again. They won it last year with Caroline Alcorta. They win it this year with Lydia Oliveira as we await the final tallying of our women's team points. Villanova going for a three-peat, but I'll tell you, it was close with Georgetown, and Butler snuck in a couple in the top 10 as well. Should be a really interesting final 10 minutes here as they do up the scoring in Kenosha. Our coverage will roll on with pictures and sound of our championship trophy presentations at the finish line here in Kenosha, Wisconsin. We thank you all so much for joining us. For Piper Shaw and our entire Rush Media crew, I'm Matt Schumacher. Enjoy the sights and sounds of this final presentation from our 2019 championship event.
Welcome to the University of Wisconsin Parkside and today's Big East Cross Country Championships. Presenting out the awards today, first, Adrian Ridgway, Executive Associate Athletic Director from Marquette. Tom Crowley, Deputy Athletics Director from Butler. And Val Ackerman, Big East Commissioner. Please come to the stage as I call your name. On the men's side, finishing in 20th, Brad Egan of Marquette in 26:39. In 19th, Daniel Pedersen, Marquette, 26:36. 18th, Josh Phillips, Villanova, 26:29. 17th, Jackson Martin, Butler, 26:27. 16th, Ryan Bird, Marquette, 26:27. 15th, Ty Brownlow, Georgetown, 26:27. 14th, Matthew Boulouette of Georgetown, 26:25. 13th, Spencer Brown, Georgetown, 26:24. 12th, Rusty Kudich, Georgetown, 26:22. 11th, Nicholas Warham, Georgetown, 26:04. 10th, Shea Wildbiker, Georgetown, 26:01. 9th, Clark Oddie, Butler, 25:58. 8th, Hofdu Strinzos, Villanova, 25:51. 7th, Simon Bedard, Butler, 25:51. 6th, Casey Comer, Villanova, 25:47. 5th, Price Owens, Georgetown, 25:44. 4th, Jack Van Scoter, Georgetown, 25:44. 3rd place, Andrew Marston, Villanova, 25:42. 'Your men's Big East runner-up, Nathan Rodriguez, Villanova, 25:38.
Let's go, Rodriguez!
And your individual champion, Ewan Makepeace of Butler in 25:03.
Tighten it up if you can. All right, let me get y'all looking this way just for a couple real quick. Okay, good.
The team runner-up on the med side was Georgetown. Come on up to the stage, Georgetown, team runner-up.
Hang on, you guys.
And your 2019 team champion is Villanova. Come on up, Villanova.
Hang on, guys. All right, everyone looking right at me. Okay.
It's all yours, guys. Congratulations.
The 2019 Big East Men's Cross Country Coaching Staff of the Year, led by Marcus O'Sullivan, is Villanova's staff.
Well done, Marcus.
Could the Villanova coach and Providence coach please meet under the C18 lighting standard just to the right of the stage as you see it? Thank you.
Is that image? Is that everything? For the ceremony, or is there still another one?
And now for the women's individual places, please come to the stage as I call your name.
I just got here.
In 20th place, Maya Hannigan from Xavier in 22:45.
Back down, grab my car and pull it up here, just so we can throw the gear.
Okay, they put the ready rig.
Yeah.
They put that in the van, and then the gimbal.
In 19th place, Caitlin McGauley from Marquette in 22:41.
Here to get a lot of the gear. The tripod belongs to the van, camera belongs to the shop, light belongs to the
18th, Danielle Hodling from Creighton in 22:36. In 17th, Camille Hines of Butler in 22:33. In 16th, Catherine Mondrell of Georgetown at 22:26. In 15th, Bailey Jones of Georgetown at 22:25. In 14th, Maddie McLean of Butler in 22:24. In 13th, Sammy Corman, Georgetown, 22:21. 12th, Alyssa Aldridge, Georgetown, 22:21. 11th, Lily Tuck, Providence, 22:19. 10th, Josephine Threstup, Butler, 22:16. 9th, Madeline Perez, Georgetown, 22:13. 8th, Maggie Smith, Villanova, 22:12. 7th, Abby Wheeler, Providence, 2209. 6th, Angelina Ellis, Butler, 2206. 5th, Emily Royston, Butler, 22 flat. 4th, Maria Coffin, Providence, 2156. 3rd place, Ann Campbell, Villanova, 2155. Your 2019 individual runner-up, Anna Costarellis, Xavier, 2139. And your Big East Women's Champion, Lydia Oliver, Villanova, 2129.
Everybody tighten up just a little bit. Front nose needs to get a little bit lower. Excuse me. Everyone looking right here. I need to get a little lower on this side. Can't see the young ladies behind you. All right, good.
Your team your team runner-up is Villanova. Come on up, Villanova women. Congratulations.
Look right here. Look at me, you guys. This is the official picture. One more. Okay. Hey, ladies. All right, thanks.
Your 2019 Women's Team Champion is Butler.
Don't get the shirt, buddy.
Somebody's still putting their shirt on behind you. All right, guys.
Can you back up so I can get in live shot here? A little further. There you go. That's good.
All right. Now let's just get the team. All right.
And the Women's Coaching Staff of the Year, led by Matt Rowe, is the staff from Butler.
Way to go, Rowe! Get some pictures, Rick.
Thank you, everyone, for attending. Congratulations to all, and have safe travels today on your way home.